I would say, if you ask me about the concept of testing, I think it's a clear necessity. I heard from Daniel, he was telling me in the car on the way, the first hospital they approached, they said, oh, why do women need this? It's just going to worry them. So if you say something like this very generally, I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, is it better to close your eyes and then get cancer when you're, advanced breast cancer when you're 35 and you're a young mother? That makes no sense. But I'm not blind to the fact that being a carrier includes anxiety. The only, if you look at studies we've done and others have done, right after the test, if a woman tests positive, anxiety goes up, and then over time it goes down because she's doing things to deal with it, and there's understanding that's that helpful. So what I'm saying is, when I judge the pros and cons, so the pros of testing is that ultimately it saves lives. That's a nice big pro. The con is that there is a certain element of naturally of anxiety that comes along with it. And what I'm trying to say is that the balance between these two is different at different ages. And when you're at the ages where you're going to be doing medically important things like mammography, like MRI, like surgery, then the benefits outweigh the anxiety. But at the ages where all you're getting is anxiety and we're still not really doing anything medically, then I would say, right. I mean, there are even, there are more subtle things, like, if you decide you want to prevent passing to the next generation and you're going to have your kids before you're 25. Yeah, I mean, there are situations where there are considerations where younger women might want to get tested. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to get tested. But when you're doing a screening program, you're doing something very general. You're not saying, I'm doing something to catch each and every one person, but I'm going to do what's generally the most positive. And so that's why I think that generally the most positive is to delay. Obviously, listen, I can tell you we have a story, and maybe it'll seg into what Shira was going to talk about. One of the first carriers that we ever identified, this was right after the genes were found, was a young woman who unfortunately is no longer with us. She got ovarian cancer when she was 35, which is very rare. Yeah, and she was a carrier, and her mother had died at 35, also of ovarian cancer. And she had one daughter, and the daughter was then 18, and she wanted to get tested. And we felt that in a family with such young onset, then it's a unique family. It's a different situation. She got tested. She was found to be a carrier. We started follow-up very young because basically the rules are that either you start at 25 or 10 years before the youngest diagnosis. And what happened with her is actually there are now, this is very medical, but I'll say it anyway. There are now people who think that cancer of the ovary actually starts in the fallopian tubes. If there's a Spanish term for that, you should say. So what you can do, if you're concerned, is take out the fallopian tubes, leave the ovaries in. What that means is the woman can still have her own children with her own eggs, because the eggs are in the ovaries. She needs to do it with in vitro fertilization, with IVF. So this woman had her fallopian tubes removed when she was like 28. And she got married, and then she had a PGD, which I guess Shira's going to talk about. Anyway, we diagnosed her embryos, and she had 2 children after this. And then, by the time she had 2 kids, which is what she wanted to have, she was 33, and then she had her ovaries removed, which is extremely young. But again, because this is an extreme family, but I'm just to give an example of. If you have an extreme family, you do extreme things. But when you're doing something, no, seriously, but when you're doing something for the general population, you want to go, down the main road, what makes sense for most people in most situations. So now I'll shut up.